educate parents and caregivers, says Illinois Department of Human Services Early Childhood Director Kristen Chernowski. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Bright sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 56. Winds out of the northwest 10 to 15 miles per hour. Lows zip down to about 36. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. High temperatures reach up to 57. Tomorrow, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently, it's 41.
Life is uncertain. Stop in and see me, State Farm Agent Jason France, on the west side of the Clinton Square, or click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com and see how our full lineup of State Farm insurance and financial services can help protect your family.
Local farm broadcaster Jared White covers the local agriculture news you need to know. Hear his reports by downloading the free WHOW mobile app.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lake shores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota,
the fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa, to the wide open plains of North and South Dakota.
We are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Illinois Army National Guard, aired by the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
Introducing Kyber soybean herbicide from Corteva Agriscience, the newest premium Group 15 pre-emergent solution. Kyber delivers 3 effective modes of action for long-lasting residual activity, meaning your fields won't just be clean, they'll be Kyber clean. And what is Kyber clean? Well, it's a little like...
Nice fields.
See the difference at kyberherbicide.com/soy. That's KYBER herbicide.com/soy.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. Paul Skowron is the CEO of Warner Hospital and Health Services, my guest in studio today. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Seth.
Happy fall and all those good things. I know you and I were catching up in the lobby about this quick change in weather and what it's doing to our sinuses and allergies. It's been a doozy of a few days for me, at least.
Me too. It's that it's what happens within the 24 to 48 hours that got me. You know, we went from warm to the rain, the high pressure bringing in the rain really quick. You saw the clouds moving fast, and now it's clear. I love the clear, but it's the speed that it got there.
Oh man, yeah,
squeezing the head.
Totally. I was very congested this morning a little bit as well. So
me too.
But Paul, let's dive into it. I'm curious what you're seeing at the walk-in clinic and within family medicine right now, because we were talking before we got started that they're seeing a lot of it is RSV is kind of going through, especially particularly the younger kids right now, but it sounds like it's getting everybody, and just some unique trends in the family medical center and the walk-in clinic. What are you finding right now?
So I talked to the medical staff a couple of days ago, and I noted that Crane Chicago Business just came out with a report saying that the flu across the country is 10 times higher than it was last year at this time. And I expected them to say, well, we're not seeing much of it, but they said, we're already seeing it. I said, what are you talking about? They said, we already had the kids coming in for respiratory issues. We've got flu symptoms. And the lab director said, yes, we're seeing much more lab testing being requested from us because of this. So it is something we need to be concerned about, this combination of flu, COVID, and RSV we're 1 month into the fall. And but we're really at the very beginning of the flu season. So, between November 1 and February, I expect we're going to see more activity than I originally had predicted.
Is that concerning for you at all? I mean, from just a general public health perspective?
Well, yes. And so my job and all CEOs, hospitals, we're supposed to prepare. That's what you're supposed to do. So I'm glad I got that information, and I got the feedback from the staff that we're already seeing the volume. It just means we've got to make sure we've got enough staff, we've got a backup, we got a bench, and that the emergency room is ready. We talked to the emergency room director, and that they're ready for this potential influx as we head into Halloween next week, when all the kiddos are going to be congregating.
When it comes to flu symptoms this early on in the flu season, what are you finding?
They look like typical flu symptoms, except this accelerated respiratory issue.
Right.
And so, not being a public health expert, I'm not sure what's different now compared to last year. But this mask off, mask on thing over the last 12 to 18 months could have something to do with it. I'm not sure.
Okay. How about you mentioned preparing for the flu season? Staffing, adequately staffed? Do you need more staff? How do you look there?
We're in better shape than we've been in 3 years, so I'm not that concerned about that. But what I told the staff is, we have to stay healthy. We can't be catching this ourselves. So we get to that masking mandate, and we issued a statement that in the public areas, the public and the employees won't be required to wear masks, but in the direct patient contact areas, they will. And especially in family medicine, they're holding steady that we require you to wear a mask as soon as you walk in the door, because there's a lot of employees there. We need them to stay healthy throughout this entire season to be able to take care of the potential increase in volume.
Yeah, no doubt.
So the second thing is supplies. We checked on our testing and our medical supplies, our lab supplies, our lab specimens. So far, we're in good shape. That those supply backlogs that were occurring during COVID have declined. And so there's just a couple of areas where there's some potential shortage, but in general, we are ready for all the testing we need to do.
Yeah. So when it comes to like supplies, just in general, healthcare supplies that you see, on a standard visit, are supply chains impacting some of those things?
Yes, and so far we don't have a shortage, but we still have those persistent price increases for simple tubing, for needles, injections.
Right.
But when you get to the testing, you've got specific, Becton Dickinson. You've got these suppliers that there might be 3 of them that's the only place that you can get your flu testing and your COVID testing supplies, and so they are specific to those illnesses, and that's where we have to maintain enough supply because we don't know what the volume of testing will be.
Yeah, no question. Any other kind of challenges as it relates to like inflation and supply chain issues in the healthcare industry right now, Paul?
I did mention that there's a potential chlorine, a helium shortage that could affect the MRI machine. We have a contract with an MRI supplier. It's their responsibility, but I just brought it up because nationally they're already talking about, so here's some of those niche areas, a helium. We have to stay ahead of those things. So it's not 2 months in and all of a sudden the supplier says we can't run the machine today.
Let's get back to the flu again. Our guest in studio this morning, Paul Skowron, CEO of Warner Hospital and Health Services. You're preparing your staff for the flu season. We talked about the masking in the healthcare facilities, and that's going on at Warner Hospital and Health Services. How about just the general public? How can we arm ourselves to, lessen flu symptoms, avoid it altogether? What are some tips that you have for us there, Paul?
I know that the mentality is pretty much post-COVID, and we can get back to doing things the way we used to do things. But let's forget about COVID and just think about we're going into the flu season. And I think what we learned from COVID is it's not a good idea for a whole bunch of people to get in a warm room and spend hours together. If somebody in the room is sneezing, then, use some common sense and kind of separate.
Right.
Maybe spread it out throughout the house. the best thing is to stay outside as long as you can, and don't try to do a lot of inside congregating too early in the season.
Yeah, that's what I've enjoyed about this kind of extended fall we've had this year is the nice weather and just being able to be outside, open windows at home, let that fresh air kind of flow through a little bit.
Try not to turn on that gas heat any sooner than you have to.
Yeah, I don't think I've had the heat on in a couple of days.
Dries things out.
Yeah, it really does. So, which I have to say that actually resulted in a pretty good bloody nose for me the other day. But still, nonetheless, I haven't had one of those in a long time. But that was the result of that. Paul, talk to me a little bit as we get into the cold and flu season. Someone coming into, whether it's the walk-in clinic, making an appointment at Family Medicine, other than the masking, what do they need to know about when they arrive? That process, just in general, visiting the facility.
You're walking into Family Medicine during the normal hours of 8 to 4:30. We've got the walk-in clinic, and it's always better to call ahead and prepare that you might be coming in. But it's okay to just show up. You may have to wait, people in line and so forth. But in general, if you come to the walk-in clinic, we're going to get to you in a timely manner that day, and then direct you, hopefully even either provide a prescription or direct you to a specialist if it's something that's become more severe and you've waited too long.
Remind us what the hours of the walk-in clinic are.
8 to 4:30.
All right, easy enough. So check that out if needed. Paul, anything else on flu season? Anything else on COVID expectations within the hospital and the family medicine? Anything we need to know about there that we haven't touched on this morning?
Just don't forget, we do have the emergency room as our backup when walk-in clinic is closed.
Sure. And just to kind of emphasize, I know that this has been a talking point we've not touched on in a long time, but largely the walk-in clinic was put in place to keep folks from visiting the emergency room in non-emergency situations, if you will.
You're so right. It's been almost 5 years now, and it's been so effective in removing the congestion in the emergency room, where there was a situation where we had real life-threatening situations going on in the emergency room, and then there would be folks coming in for more common flu-type ailments, and they would be waiting 4 to 8 hours, and so that has been almost removed. So now you go to the emergency room as a backup if the walk-in clinic is closed, but the walk-in clinic has been so effective at being able to attend to those issues on a more timely basis.
Very good. Let's take a time out here, Paul, and come back with more. How do folks learn more about Warner Hospital and Health Services?
Our Facebook page is very popular.
Very good. That is Paul Skowron, CEO of Warner Hospital and Health Services, my guest in studio. More to come with him on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Wednesday. I'm Jim Taylor for the RFD Radio Network. Corn slightly lower, beans beginning the day double-digit higher, and Chicago wheat lower to begin this Wednesday. December corn 6.84 3/4 down a penny and a half. March corn down 2 pennies, 6.90 1/4. May corn 6.90 down 2. November beans 13.94 up 12. January beans up 12 and a half, 14.04 3/4. March beans 14.12 3/4 up 11 3/4. Chicago December wheat 8.29 and a half down 5 1/4. March wheat down 5 3/4, 8.48 and a half. May wheat 8.59 and a half down 5 3/4. December bean meal 4.1720, that's up $1.60. December bean oil 72.90 up 62 cents. In the energy market, December crude oil 85.96 up 64 cents. I'm Jim Taylor.
Are you a friend of agriculture? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. We're giving a $500 Friends of Ag discount to anyone that orders a new Chevrolet or Buick to be built just for you this month. Are you a friend of ag? You are if you're a member of any ag organization, employed by any ag-related business, including research, inputs, manufacturing, sales, and marketing, and of course, ag education. Come in, order yours today. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Clinton Save-A-Lot owner Dave Jackson here with a supply chain update. While we're working as best we can to keep our shelves stocked with the items you need and want every day, we're experiencing never-before-seen interruptions in product availability and delivery, both through Save-A-Lot and our direct suppliers. In most cases, they can't run their production lines due to the lack of workers, plus a shortage of truck drivers. Despite all that, we're working to keep the meat, produce, and other products you buy in stock and on our shelves every day. Your Clinton Save-A-Lot appreciates your business, and we hope to see you soon.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHW Morning Show is streaming to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Paul Skowron is the CEO of Warner Hospital and Health Services in studio with us today. Paul, it is National Rural Healthcare Day. How about this?
Yeah, so November 17th, National Rural Healthcare Day. It's an opportunity for, since 2011, the National Organization of State Offices of Rural Health. It's something that stresses and promotes the power of rural healthcare and the unique challenges of rural healthcare. The fact that, we're in general small, and yet we're some distance from large complex hospitals that you might need to be transferred to. And so there's always some concerns about, let's talk this RSV thing. We don't have inpatient beds for kids. So we have to find places to go. And therefore we have to communicate with other hospitals. These larger hospitals are already saying, you might have heard it on the news, that, we're filling up with beds, with pediatric beds, and it's going to be a tough season. So National Rural Health Day is an opportunity for us to communicate with Congress, with our legislatures, state and federal, to make sure we're getting the necessary resources to be able to take care of these unique challenges for rural.
And just as a general talking point, I feel like rural healthcare has really kind of, I wouldn't say taken a front and center focus, but it's taken a larger, focus, more conversation around it in the last 5 years, I would say.
You're right. Our legislative activities, we've really highlighted. COVID gave us an opportunity to say, we really need some attention and help to make sure we get the necessary supplies, that the larger healthcare systems don't soak up all the necessary resources, because events like a COVID and pandemics and things like that could lead to smaller rural healthcare systems out there with emergencies that they can't be addressed right away. So rural has really taken advantage of the congressional action on healthcare with COVID, and made sure that we were front and center with our legislators.
Very good. So when it comes to just rural healthcare, though, I mean, what do you see as the benefits of rural healthcare, Paul? I know this is a field you've been in for some time. You talked about the larger facilities and kind of soaking in a lot of that business from communities like Clinton, Hayworth, those kind of rural areas. Benefits of a rural healthcare facility like Warner Hospital.
Well, we are the only hospital in DeWitt County. Okay, people forget that, because we are geographically in an area that I call rural light. We really have Bloomington Normal to the north, and Decatur to the south, and Champaign and Springfield relatively close, so that we can get patients transferred quickly on an emergency basis to larger hospitals. But in general, rural is 50 to 75 in Kansas and Nebraska, 100, 150 miles before they can get to the next hospital. So we are okay because of our geography, but I am very conscious of what's going on within the state and consolidation within other hospitals. In Keokuk, Iowa, if you're not familiar with, there was a hospital that became part of the Quincy healthcare system, the Blessing healthcare system, and 18 months later, they just closed the Keokuk, Iowa hospital. It's in a town not too much larger than Clinton, and so now the patients in that community, they're concerned that they're going to have to be transferred a longer distance to get to a larger hospital.
Yeah.
So we fortunately are in a geographic area that's not going to happen, because we're right in the center of these larger healthcare systems.
I see.
But I'm always conscious of those consolidations going on.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting that, in the comforts of kind of the bubble, I guess, if you will, that we exist in, you still take notice of those things and have concern for those things. Why is that?
because I've seen rural hospitals close as a result of this, because they didn't plan, or they were just surrounded by strong healthcare systems that had strategies to close them. And fortunately, we have specialists from all these other health systems, as well as specialists from Gibson Area Hospital, another small rural healthcare provider that's a partner of ours, working with us. They come to our specialty clinic.
I see.
So we've been able to work out partnerships that provide that specialty care right here in Clinton.
I see.
And that's one of the ways we protected ourselves.
Sure. Well, Paul, as we continue on here this morning, anything else just on Rural Healthcare Day, rural healthcare in general we haven't touched on you want to put out there for us?
No, I think we covered it well.
That was a good conversation, I thought, at least. Paul, let's dive into safe sitter classes. My friend Katie Courts is going to take this up. What's going on here?
Katie is one of our star surgical nurses, and she's also passionate about this safe sitter class. And she loves working with kids. This has become so popular because it's a one-day class that gives the kids, the ones that are 6th to 8th grade, that these almost adults that are learning fast, and sometimes they find themselves as the leader in the family that's got to babysit the younger kids. And so it's a one-day, a couple-hour class, and it gives them all these skills on what to do when you're alone and some emergency happens in your home.
Katie's free to reach out to me anytime to talk about this. I feel like she would be really good at teaching this and talking about it. So,
excellent.
Yeah. When is this? Where is this? How about I read it, Paul? November 19th. That is a Saturday, I presume.
Yes.
9 a.m. Is it at Warner Hospital and Health Services?
It is. It's at the Wellness Center.
At the Wellness Center.
So, and we just installed yesterday a brand new blue sign right across this. There's on the street, on the corner there by physical therapy, that points you to the Wellness Center. And then there's a new sign in front of the building right across from Hardee's. So you can't miss it.
Gotcha.
And so it's a good way to bring attention to the Wellness Center. So our the three most popular classes in the Wellness Center are this safe sitter, and then there's the balance class that the seniors comes to once a month, and then there's also our smoking cessation.
Sure. Tell me about the smoking cessation class, Paul.
So that is very important. It's not a one-day class. It's something that you have to say, I'm going to try and beat this smoking issue, and you've got to attend it for 6 to 8 weeks. But it's free, and it's free because First National Bank has provided the grant for these classes to provide the resources and the training.
Sure.
And so Melissa White is the teacher for this class.
Okay. So she will lead that one. Do you have to RSVP for these, Paul?
Yes. Both of these, especially the safe sitter, it fills up very quickly. And so
do you want this back, by the way?
No, I've got it.
Okay.
And so you can use Facebook to sign up for any of these things.
Oh, really?
But on Melissa's smoking class, that's 217-937-5202.
All right. So put that on the radar. This and smoking cessation begins. Let me see if I can find a date. That starts November 1st.
There we go.
So that is coming up.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
November 1st is very quickly coming
up.
It
is. So put your, if you're interested in that, and they've got a little survey here as well to probably help you, guide you if you're, this is something for you. So
that's right.
All right, Paul. Anything else on these two things?
No, sir.
Let's dive into, as we wrap up here, I got a couple of minutes yet still with you today. Tell me a little bit about projects. How are those going at the hospital? What's some of the latest with these things?
So at our board meeting, we got an update from our facilities director, Tom Hankins, that the architects and the engineering firm have given updates on all 4 of our projects, and all are moving along quickly. But it's that behind the scenes engineering and architectural work that makes it look like nothing's happening. But in fact, all of that needs to be done and buttoned up, and all final changes agreed to before we can send the letters to the Illinois Department of Public Health and ask for approval to get started on these projects.
I see.
So we just received, even after the board meeting, the last reports regarding that. And so when we talk about the west entrance and the parking lot that we're going to be putting down there, it becomes eye-opening at how much electrical and gas and oxygen lines are underneath those houses just to the west. They've been there for, some of them have been there for 50 years. So you can forget. And all it takes is one shovel, to shut down the hospital.
Yeah.
So that's why these engineering reports are so important.
Sure. So those are coming along, and those will have to go to the state for approval, correct?
Yes, because we're a healthcare facility.
Yeah.
So any change we make to the infrastructure, even the entrance for the specialty, the new entrance on the west side, the state has to approve it because it has to do with the movement of patients through the hospital, infection control, safety, all those things.
Yeah. So when it comes to that, will that take a while getting the approval from the states?
It's a minimum of 6 weeks, but it can take up to 3 months.
Okay. And that's probably why you want to get it started now.
That's right. It all depends on the staffing within Springfield.
Sure. How do folks learn about the latest with Warner Hospital and Health Services, Paul?
WarnerHospital.org or Facebook.
Paul Skowron, CEO of Warner Hospital and Health Services, my guest in studio. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton.